everyone, welcome to my channel, Reach for Truth, and welcome to my new subscribers. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, leave a nice friendly comment, and if you really want, you could share or perhaps even subscribe. That way you won't miss out on any more future videos. So to the right of me, I have Boundless Authenticity, my friend Jehan. So in this video, we're going to be talking about just different things, really. We're just going to see where it leads us, go with the flow. So I know I messaged you, didn't I, prior to this video. I've been wanting to get him on my channel for a while, but with life and things in general, it's just didn't happen. But anyway, we're finally here. We're actually going to do a video together, and I hope you enjoy it. And so, yeah, I'll give it to you, Jehan, and share with whatever it is that we said we were going to talk about.
Well, I'm Jehan. I am a certified hypnotherapist, self-sabotage coach. I also do cognitive behavioral therapy-based counseling, relationship counseling, MK Ultra counseling, cult deprogramming, all these different things. I've had a lifetime of experience. I'm a former musician. I was pretty deep in the industry for a while, and pretty much I have been on this spiritual journey. I guess I kind of got thrown into the fire in a way when I was little, and I didn't realize that I was in one until it really started to get like 4th degree burns. We can jump off from there at that point. I also host Boundless Authenticity podcast, and I have a new podcast, which is to help people who are struggling with self-sabotage, who really can't afford to pay for it. It's called Why You Self-Sabotage and How to Heal from It. So yeah, that's it.
Amazing. Yeah. So if anyone is interested in contacting Jehan, all his information, links, anything like that, all the things he offers, all the information will be in the description. And if you want, go and check him out.
Let's start with just this idea, because you and I talk a lot. We are friends. And thank you for being such a good friend to me, because I've had some pretty disastrous moments here recently, and you were like one of the only people that was like, where'd he go? Off of Facebook for the stuff that I say. And doing this kind of work, when you're making an impact, that's when they really come after you spiritually, financially. They come after your relationships, everything, But the idea I would like to present to people is that truth that threatens identity tends to be filtered out automatically. So what does that mean? I mean, that means that's a broad brush, because that's kind of like all of life, right? Mm-hmm. Every struggle that we go through inherently is tied to something that we have made up about our identity, or something that society has told us about our identity. So for a person like me, I struggled for years because I grew up in a household thinking that I was a bad person, that I was a problem, that everything that I did was wrong, or it offended someone, because I grew up in a household with 3 narcissists, and my parents were doing the best that they could, which really wasn't saying much, although I'm grateful I just didn't die. I could have died many times, but they kept me alive. And my entire journey has just been this battle between extreme moments of darkness and medium to moderate moments of light that were still like, you're looking over your shoulder because something else really weird is going to happen. So going through that as a child wasn't really great. I'm not going to like self-flagellate or be the victim or anything like that, because I'm over it. But I just want people to know that where I'm coming from is not a good place. And a lot of it was just dealing with my alcoholic father and my very verbally abusive sister. My mother was always very confused as an individual. She was kind of always the only one looking for some kind of spiritual insight. So fortunately there was that, because I followed her from church to church, cult to cult, new age movement to new age movement. And she never settled on any one thing, really. And that basically made me have to make my own decision as to what is God? How do I tap into that? And I pretty much didn't even have an answer to that question until I was about 25, 26, really. So I think that is probably an interesting point to linger on, because one of the things that I see when I'm working with my clients or I'm having conversations with people is how they're so disconnected from the reality of what is God, who created all this stuff, all the wisdom that's within you. Tell people, yeah, you know, everything's within you, but they have a spasm because they don't really know what that means, right? And I tend to distinguish between programming and conditioning when I'm dealing with clients, because conditioning is usually like B.F. Skinner, behavior reward based thing. You know, there's pain, stimulus, response. And then programming is like language or visual imprints, like from TV and things like that. So a lot of people literally have this thing running in their head that says, I don't understand what it feels like to be supported by the divine or by God or the creator of all that is, or whatever that thing is for you, right? There's no wrong way to address it. So it's disturbing because we look around right now at the time that we're recording this, everybody's freaking out about the wars and prices of oil and Epstein and all this kinds of stuff. And there's people like you and I that have been saying forever, yeah, all that's coming. You know, all that's coming. And you're like, how do you know? Because we listen to the divine within. We're able to listen so deeply that if we just shut up for long enough, we hear this stuff. We get this information. We pull it from the ether. Or, you know, some people that are Christian might be more comfortable saying, God told me that. You know, whatever your language is, good for you for connecting with it, because that's what we need. Because everything that we face that is a challenge, everything that is corrupt, is just because of deception. As my good friend, one of my best friends in the world, Laura Van Tyne, I would be nothing without her friendship. There was a video going around just yesterday on Journey to Truth, where she was explaining how the people that are doing this are inhabited by entities. So it's not even really people doing this. It is demonic influences. It is dark entities, interdimensional beings, whatever you feel comfortable calling them. They're working through these people and they're acting on us at all times. So if you don't have a good relationship with the creator of all that is, you're royally screwed. That's just the reality. You will never be able to find your way out of any hole that you've dug yourself into. You will never get relief through therapy. You will never get relief by going to church. You will never get relief by reading your Bible. You will never get relief by doing any other spiritual practice. You will always be haunted and you will always be unable to create because you're not listening when that influence is trying to contact you. And not only that, you're not correctly bringing it into your everyday creation process. You're probably missing a lot. So it's just really important that everybody shut up, turn off the damn TV, turn off the damn music, stop worrying about what Epstein did because he did it already. And he's just one out of thousands. And get on with your life and start listening to what your intuition is trying to tell you. If you can't do that, you're not going to survive what's coming next. I don't say that to scare people. But at any point in time, I would have said this exact thing 10 years ago. You're not going to survive what's coming next. Right? I don't know what your contribution would be, but I want to linger on that point and tell people that truth that threatens your identity tends to be filtered out automatically. So whatever it is you think.
Sorry, guys, we've just got a bit of a technical issue going on. Hopefully we can repeat that. It's fine until... Joss, I don't know what's going on. It's really bad, isn't it, guys? See, I could hear you. You were on a roll talking about what you were talking about. And then all of a sudden it was like you breaking up. And then then you were very distorted and I couldn't hear you at all. And then obviously you got kicked out. So, yeah. So I don't even remember the last bit that you said before it went all funny.
Last thing I said was that everything's identity based. So truth that threatens your identity gets filtered out automatically. And
Yeah.
people identify with ideas. And if you have a belief that causes you pain when you look at it, then it's probably not the truth, or at the very least, you're denying yourself multiple perspectives, which will provide clarity on that which you believe. It's either going to reinforce it or it's going to break it down, and you can add something to it, or you might have to take away something from it. And I get slapped every time I say that. That's why my podcast got deplatformed like 4 times in the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Because these people want to deceive you. These entities work through deception. That is what is meant by it's a spiritual battle. It's a war for your mind, because the first place they hit you is your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, these entities, these spirits, these lower astral beings, whatever you want to call them, demons, demonics, all of the above. I believe, I don't know if you believe in this, but I believe that they can jump from person to person. They're like monitoring spirits as well. And, they can target you and attack you in that way as well. I've experienced that. There we go. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
We had a little bit of interference there. Are we back?
We are, yeah.
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 I expect more of the same.
Like I say, luckily I can edit out a lot of it. It's just getting cut off because of the technical issues or whatever's messing with you. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, when you look back, it's going to be, the conversation's going to be chippy and choppy, because it's like trying to remember the last bit you said before. You know what I mean? It got messed up, but nightmare. So you usually use Zoom, so you don't really have too many issues on that. It just seems to be StreamYard. Is that right?
It depends. It depends on the person. I just had Dr. Carrie Made on my podcast, and she's heavily censored on the internet, and so they gave us hell. The interview is much like this. So you just kind of find it with certain people. They intervene because they're always listening. Let's just face it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 1,000% know and believe that. Mm-hmm. They do. Yeah, like you say, especially like when certain people come together, or, you're talking about certain, topics and things like that. So it's all fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and you were just saying you're going to bring me on to a really heavy topic right now, because I just went through one of the worst spiritual attacks of my life. Yeah, I really did.
When?
Really
How long ago? I think we've lost them again.
All right.
See you now.
All right. Okay.
What a nightmare.
So I said I actually just went through the worst spiritual attack of all time, and then...
I know, yeah. Literally, what, again, just now, spiritual attack, or you mean when you were just talking about it, and that's when it all went weird again, didn't it?
Well, that was when I was starting to talk about it. So I was saying that since now November 2025, my podcast got hit and deplatformed and demonetized first. Before it deplatformed, I had to switch podcast platforms, but that's the 4th time that it's happened, because I'm always talking this kind of stuff about like how to be empowered and like how to think and stuff like that. And I've been doing some other things too, like a lot of energetic work and stuff like that. So this actually is going to be interesting, because I just call them energetics, and they're like these little containers that these people, these entities, they place along the ley lines, and they use them to, just to use layman terms, they cast spells on the entire population of people, because using these energetic lines is kind of like you have a whole pipeline system in your house, and you pour blue dye through one of the sink drains, and it'll spread all the way through, it'll come out through certain areas. So that's how they do it. They disperse this fear draining energy in these containers. And I was a bad boy. I was flying around and going and taking it a little bit out at a time, hoping they wouldn't notice. And it's kind of like when you have like a jar of peanuts and you just take out one or two and you think, okay, nobody's going to notice, like 2 peanuts are gone. Well, they noticed and they came after me. I also had other people out there in the podcast community. I'm not going to name any names, that I had somebody that they are friends with have on their show some kind of a witch or something putting hexes on me. And there's another person that claims to have UFO experiences and Sasquatch and all this kinds of stuff, and I refuse to have her on my podcast. And she put curses on me, and things were happening, like birds were dying in my yard. My hen that was always inside with me, she died. Like shit got really personal, and then when they had weakened me with that, then they started coming after my mind. And I actually had an incident, this is about going on 4 weeks now, where I just was like, I don't feel good. Like I was getting sick all the time. And then I started, like, my mind wasn't feeling good. And I remember laying up in here like on Friday night trying to get to sleep, and I could not get to sleep. I was restless, all kinds of different things. And I had a plumber that was supposed to be coming early in the morning. Like, this guy moves at like 6 in the morning. And I was like, gosh, I'm never going to get to sleep now. So I kind of stayed up once it was like 4:30 in the morning to wait on him. But as that time went on, I started to feel more and more disconnected from my body, more and more like just like completely detached from everything. Like I was dissociating, which was very, very strange. And I'm sure you kind of feel like that sometimes, like when you're getting targeted, you have things like that happen to you.
Yeah, when I get targeted, I get like that. But that it reminds me of like when I get triggered with my complex PTSD. I really like I disconnect like a lot to the point where I don't know what's real anymore, and I'm not in control, and I feel myself spiraling, and then I'm having severe anxiety attacks. I'm freaking out, like I want to exit my body because it's a scary, scary, scary feeling, and don't wish it on anyone. But yeah, I do naturally. They call it what do you call it? Derealization, dissociation, depersonalization. It's not knowing what's real. You know, is this reality even real? Am I real? You know, like it's almost like borderline psychosis. That's been extreme for me. Again, this was last year, I think. Mine was because I got triggered. That was when I got taken and I got drugged. Remember when I told you, I think I shared it on your channel, where there was 3 grey hybrids, females in front of me, and I was strapped to a chair and I was given an injection of some kind. And anyway, that was traumatic in itself. But then after, when I came back, I'll be honest, it fucked me up. It fucked me up. Severe complex PTSD. Like and I've been through a lot. We all have, right? And especially if you're in my lab, you know, they put you through all sorts. But I can honestly say, you know, I've seen some interesting non-human entities on more than a few times, let me say. You know, and yeah, it's been scary, of course. Like my ego's, you know, you get freaked out, of course. And I guess it's because I've seen a lot of that type of thing around me. But to be strapped to a chair and to have drugs put in you, and knowing that wasn't the only time, because my body remembered, my subconscious, something about me remembered, because I remember in that experience, I was like, oh my God, screaming and shouting, no, not again, not again. And I went into panic before they even put that shit in my arm, because I knew what would come in. And so, yeah, I wasn't right for a long time after that experience. Like I say, it messed me up. So yeah, and like I say, the things I explained, it wasn't just anxiety, it was PTSD, it was derealization, depersonalization, dissociation, psychosis, all because of that event. It messed me up. Mm-hmm. So I don't wish that on anyone. I do not wish that on anyone because it was dark and on my own as well. Yeah. And I knew if I had to go to a psychiatric ward, then that's what they want as well, right? And I don't trust pharmaceuticals. They would have messed me up even more. I was literally on my own. I couldn't really speak to anyone that would understand. I did eventually speak to one friend. She managed to calm me down. But it took me a long time, and it was either I believed I only had two choices. It was to exit, if you know what I mean, or to go into a psychiatric ward. Yeah, don't wish that on anyone.
The experience that I had, I've never had anything like this happen before, but I could feel the change in frequency. I could feel the darkness, like everything just suddenly became like monochrome. And then I started having trouble speaking coherently. And right then when I started having trouble speaking coherently, like my girlfriend was calling and freaking out. She was like, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on with you? What'd you get into?" And I was trying to explain that I don't know what's happening, but nothing was coming out in a coherent way. And like, I was trying not to get too scared because I know that that's what they want. And I was trying to just like hold on to consciousness. I think I finally passed out around like 4:30 in the afternoon, and then woke up after like an hour or so. And I just felt like I had been drugged with something. And then I went to sleep later that night. Like I made sure everybody had something to eat, all my animals and everything. And then I just like, I should probably just go lay in bed and try to figure out, because what was happening to me felt like psychosis. And in the midst of all of that, my phone got hacked. I'm surprised it didn't send you messages and stuff, because it just started going through like select contacts and sending these squiggly lines and like characters and X's and O's and ones and stuff like that. It didn't make any sense. And like sending emojis and stuff. And when I looked that evening, when I came out of it, both the Bluetooth on my computer had been turned on. I hadn't been on my computer for the whole day. And the Bluetooth on my phone had been turned on. I always keep those things off. Yeah. And I remember at one point I looked at my phone. So I was kind of like looking at my phone to see like, what the heck is going on? Why are these patterns coming up? And as I held the phone up like that to look at it and pulled it close to my face, it started taking like 100 pictures of my face. And WhatsApp was flashing. I had to reset my phone completely and get everything back.
That's insane. Yeah.
So weird.
Something or someone was definitely, messing with your phone. I've had similar, not that extreme, but I have had similar things, not worth sharing, really. It's nothing like what you experienced for yours. But yeah, I do understand. Yeah, they can do that.
I thought to myself that night, I'm going to have to get up early tomorrow and go straight to the psychiatric hospital or something, because I have no idea what's going on. Like my head's getting done in. And it doesn't make sense that I should not have any control over what's happening. And then it occurred to me as I was laying there trying to get to sleep that night that this is another spiritual attack. Like this is them trying to come at me, because what happened next was even more startling. I was actually sleeping, and in the early morning hours, I went into this dream state, and I left my body, and I saw, like I felt like I was drifting away, and I saw this massive smoke-like being wrap itself around my body in the bed. And as I was witnessing the vision of it, it was in complete black and white. And basically, it said in a big booming voice, "We want you gone." And it started to suffocate me. And I was actually having trouble breathing. And I was like, I remember I had my blanket like this around my neck, and I was just like trying to turn my body because I was sleeping on my side. And no matter what I did, I couldn't turn my body. And I actually started hollering. And when I started hollering, that's when I came from the out of body experience back into my body really suddenly. And I got up off my bed and I ran like all hell. I like ran away from that room. That's probably the most scared I've been my entire life over anything. And immediately after that, I just started like praying. I praying to every damn body, Hare Krishna. Like,
you do,
you name it.
Yeah. You really do. And it's terrifying because you do. You feel like you're on your own because no one else around you, even your close loved ones, they can understand, I guess, but only to a certain level. But you probably wouldn't even want your loved ones to feel what you'd gone through anyway, to try and understand, because you wouldn't want anyone to go through that anyway. But yeah, it can be quite scary, very isolating, and sometimes you're not the same. Something's changed. Sometimes for a long time you're not the same until you kind of, I guess, time heals or something. Because obviously I'm fine now after what I went through. But I still get I still get attacked every now and again, especially when I'm asleep, in the astral. They're always tricking me, deceiving me, manipulating me, again, threatening words, I've had that on and off all my life. So, yeah. And there's that true saying, isn't there? What is it? The devil only attacks those it sees as a threat or something like that. I can't remember how it goes, but it doesn't just go out and attack anyone. So I see it, if you can take something positive from it, it means you're on the right path, right? It means you're doing something right, because why would they be bothering with you? But yeah, it is still scary. It's still scary. I mean, we're not, immune to fear and things like that, of course, but it comes, I guess, it's part of the job, I guess. Yeah, but we eventually do overcome it. I know I've overcome a lot of things. I have to pinch myself sometimes. Like when I look back, I'm like, I should be insane right now, but I'm still level-headed. I can still speak. I can still be grounded and make sense. But all I can say is it's just, I guess, just that some people are strong souls. And I don't mean that in the ego sense neither. I got to be. You got to be, right. The fact that you can still sit there and I can still sit here and just be like, wow, that happened, and that, but we're still here. We're not surrendering. We're not allowing that fear to control us or mute us, because if we were that scared, and yes, it was scary at the time, but I mean, like, we always get back up, we always resume, we always do what we came here to do. And they hate that. They hate these entities. They hate that. But it's a spiritual war. It's a spiritual war. Not everyone's built for it.
It's 100% a spiritual war. And I just thank God that I have a partner that really loves me, because anybody else would have left me that day. In spite of everything, in spite of all of our history and everything, if she didn't know me, she would have left me. Right? Like, it scared one of the kids.
Yeah. A lot of people would. And that's just how it is. A lot of people would, with anyone. I've had people get close to me and then, they may think I'm out of character or I'm going through something, right? Well, clearly I have been going through things, and they're quick to say, oh, you're crazy, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, you have no idea, and they just run, they ghost, whatever, it is what it is. But it is hard. It is hard to find a companion that sticks or believes you or understands, But on a positive, because more and more people are waking up now, hopefully there's going to be a day where there's less people going around pointing, going, you're crazy, you're psychotic, you're delusional, you're this and that. And rather, instead of that, it'd be more like, yeah, this shit's real. So at least the dating pool will be a lot easier. And, not that I'm dating, I'm not interested, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's very lonely, isn't it, when you're going through these things? Um, but like I say, people are getting on board now. They're seeing things, they're realizing things, they're having their own experiences. And so we're going to, find more people that understand, is what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, for sure. And I was
so
different
what was you talking about?
Wait, hang on. There's a lag.
Sorry, carry on.
So there's a lag between us now, and Zoom is telling me Zoom is not responding, even though you're still talking, and it wants to crash. It's asking me to send a crash report.
Well, I can hear you perfectly fine, so I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't know either. This is so strange. I don't know if to say don't send to Zoom. I don't know what to do. I don't know if it'll close the recording. I don't know.
It's a trick. Don't do it. Don't.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we should just see how far we can get with it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were asking me a question though.
So, shall we? What? Did you want to talk a bit more about what you was? Because you was on a roll on StreamYard talking about the things you were talking about, and then all of a sudden it was like just went crazy, didn't it? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying, stuff that I feel like we all need to really come to grips with. It is that there's only two sides to this thing. It's a spiritual war, and it's only God versus evil. And that's it. If you notice anything that's against being in union with each other, and being full of joy and peace, and really like living with strong faith in whatever it is you believe in, anything that is like against that is always evil. If you look around, you look at how they attack the children, and they've infiltrated the church. I mean, I say it plainly all the time. I knew from the time I was about 8 years old that the same people, because if you read the Bible good enough, you realize, okay, yeah, the same people that killed Jesus wrote this. They killed him, and then they started organized religion to take you away from the spiritual truths. Their only tactics are denial, distraction, delusion, and deception. Right?
Yeah.
And those four words I just used are the fundamental basis of all propaganda, all political regimes throughout all of time. Even in the made-up documented history that they feed to us, you see those common patterns. Denial, delusion, deception, and distraction. So I don't even need to go on a tirade about how entertainment is draining you. That's how they, if you are a person of devout faith, whether it's Hare Krishna or Jesus or, Gugamoog from planet Babylon, let's make up some messed up names here for hilarity. Whatever you believe in strongly, something inherently evil has to attack you to test your faith in that. And what is a pinnacle aspect of good mental health, I know there's people that don't like that term, but what strong, sound mind relies on the most, even from a neuroscientific perspective, there's a part of your brain or parts of your brain, the prefrontal cortex being one of the main parts, that is the center of your spirituality. It's the center of your rationality. It's the center of your entire executive function and your willpower and your ability to make good choices with the information that you're presented with. And so what do these beings do? What do these people do? They make everything about consumption of ideas, to blur the lines between our own intuitive wisdom and reality and how to cope with reality. They create drugs and alcohol and these different things, pharmaceuticals, that destroy our brains, destroy our critical thinking, destroy our connection with our soul, literally push the soul out of the body so that they can infiltrate. They create these technologies like these screens that if you're looking at them for longer than a minute, you begin to degrade that prefrontal cortex. If you don't have a good connection to faith in something, it's hard to have clarity and inner strength to carry on when you inevitably hit struggle. And so many people struggle because they look around and like, okay, well, how could any loving, benevolent being create this much chaos? And it isn't that. I mean, I don't want to go on a sermon because I'm not a religious person. I don't go to church. I am not a Christian. I just follow immutable spiritual laws, spiritual truth. And so there's every attempt to divide us, blur the lines between fact and fiction when it comes to our spiritual lives, distract us from paying attention, deep, focused attention to our family. Everything is about temptation. Everything is about taking us away from being loving and kind to each other, selfishness. You look at these younger generations and they don't give a flying crap about anything except for themselves and taking another selfie. Not that I want to overgeneralize like that, because I know all of them are like that. But for the most part, this is what we've come to. Everybody's just about me, hustle, 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 get more things, do more things. And when you're doing all of that stuff, you're worrying about all of that stuff and you're worrying about what's inside of a phone. You're not worrying about what's inside of you. There was a story I heard a long time ago, about 12 years ago, and it was about these Greek figures sitting around a round table. And the most powerful one said, we're having all these problems and we don't know how to keep this wisdom hidden so that it doesn't get exploited. And there's this one little sheepish guy in the back. He's raising his hands and he's like, oh, I know the answer. I know where to hide it. And everybody else is giving suggestions. And they're saying, okay, if we don't want people to find it, let's put it down at the bottom of the ocean. And the little guy jumps up and he says, yes, but humans are smart enough that they'll eventually figure out how to make boats and diving equipment, and they'll go down to the bottom of the ocean and they'll find it. And he suggests hiding it a few different places, and the little guy had a solution and a reason as to why humans would figure it out. But he said to them, I know how to do it. If you really want to hide this wisdom from humans, this innate spiritual truth and this that will give them strength and power, you have to put it the one place they're never going to look. You have to put it right between their eyes. Right? And that's the problem with people. So everybody's looking away from what's inside of them, what really makes them feel good, not momentary pleasure, not just pure like lustful things or getting more money and feeling good for a time or, you know, a new pair of shoes or anything like that. It's all about the things that you can do for others. When you have enough, you can do good for others. So if you look at the pattern, we're always kept in fear that whatever we have is going to go away at any time. And when you're busy in fear of it, then you can't appreciate it. You can't appreciate your family. You can't appreciate the fact that you have a job, and somewhere around the world there's somebody that doesn't have a job and they don't have enough, right? So we have all of these deep spiritual truths, like we exist to care for each other and share with each other, and we don't do it. So the whole society is just in chaos and complete division. And then you have these Christians that are like, oh, you know, you're a bad person because you have black fingernails and black hair, you wear all black and you listen to heavy metal or whatever. But they're under the same spiritual attack. You know, when you talk about the word church, it comes from the word kirk, which is a circle. It's a trap, right? And people ask me all the time, why don't you go to church? And I say, I don't, because it's a geometric structure that was created to trap your intention. So not only is it trapping your intention, you can't really speak for what is inside of anybody else's heart. When they are praying, they are probably not praying the same prayer as you with the same intention. And so that skews any collective power that you have. There must be a shared agreement, and there can't be one person leading it and saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, because each person inside of them is not going to inherently understand based on their life circumstances. Everyone has their own internal strategies, their own internal thoughts that will interrupt, if you want to call it, the voice of the divine, the voice of God that's speaking to each person. So if each person isn't individually working on themselves to the same level, the intentions will never match. So I don't go to those places because I don't want my energy to be affected or siphoned off or any such thing. I avoid communion and prayer with as many people as possible. I try to keep it to myself. There's only a few that I will pray with, or that I will make, I will make an attempt to connect with them and talk about certain spiritual issues. Even doing my podcast is difficult because I hear so many people and they have good intentions, but the stuff that they're saying is kind of off from the point. And when I started doing podcasting, the entire purpose was that I had set a goal. It just came to me one day that I am going to attempt to reach 100,000 people and try to bring them to the level of spiritual insight that I have. And I know that in that period of time, I will grow and I will have more things to say. And it wasn't about becoming a leader. It was just about providing a foundation for everyone to reach communion with everything that is, with the creator of everything that is, and nothing more than that. And then later on, I realized that I needed to expose certain issues and different things like that I had not factored in, because podcasting is a journey. It does evolve. And, it's very difficult. I set a very high bar for myself when I called it boundless authenticity, because authenticity is the key to spiritual growth. It's the key to creating anything in your life, being inherently who you are from one moment to the next, and being willing to learn and grow and change and adapt. And people don't like that. People don't want to do that. So I would wrap this up by saying that what we are facing not only is a battle of God versus the devil, literally the evil, his devil, but we are in a crisis of conscience. We're in a crisis of consciousness. Our consciousness is not evolving in the right direction because we have these people that I call the cult of global disempowerment that want to stop you from finding out how to connect with each other, how to connect with God, how to connect with your children, and how to perpetuate this cycle of growth that we should all be in. And it's been going on for millennia. To reference Laura Van Tyne again, I mean, she hit the nail right on the head. We've been in a spiritual war with them from the beginning, Yeah,
really, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? People just gotta just find themselves again, and not look outside of themselves, not run from themselves, because we can all connect to God, source, whatever you want to call it. Just go within, just listen, really, isn't it? So
yeah. Any arena of life, I have to repeat it, any area of your life where you find yourself dividing yourself from other people, that is not source talking to you. That is evil, trying to trick you and isolate you, and trying to weaken everybody else, because like a chain, you break a link in a chain, then what happens?
Yeah, Absolutely. So true. Yeah. And I find in my personal journey, I don't know if it's the same for you, but it's like whenever you are trying to heal or stay on a certain path, a path that you know is right for you, like, you know, doing better, healing, usually just minding your own business, right? Just doing you. And, you know, it's just like evil likes to follow certain individuals. Again, the devil doesn't just attack anyone. And I find that the more that I step into my role, or the more that I help, or the more that I step into my healing and self-confidence and sovereignty and, you know, and all that, I just find that there's always something, you know, trying to pull you down. And, you know, these energies and entities, whatever you want to call them, you know, they can work through people. You know, it's just hard, isn't it, when you have certain people like come your way and just try and, like, have you ever had a conversation with anyone and you've deep down, you know, they're a good person, but then it's like something dark within them shifts, and sometimes you can feel that energy, and it'll be like all of a sudden they act out of character. It's like an entity comes through and will try and provoke you, try and get that reaction, you know, and or sometimes it's just they're just narcissistic or unhealed or whatever you want to call it, you know. I've been getting a lot of that. I've had a lot of that all throughout my life. It's like the same patterns and behaviors and energies through certain individuals. It could be old friends, exes, or partners that I was with at the time. It's like just as that shift and that darkness comes through, and yeah, it's just a nightmare. And then, of course, you try and tell people, they just think you're absolutely mad. They think you're crazy. They think you're, I don't know, thinking too much into it, or they make excuses for these individuals, and I don't know, or they accuse you of starting drama and trouble, and it really isn't, you know. And it's difficult when certain individuals, they treat other people differently, but then they're like, treat you differently as well, you know. It's like, so they make people around you just think that you're crazy because, well, they're not treating me like that. I don't have that experience, you know. Yeah, I get a lot of that. That's one of the reasons why I just stay solo. And it's a shame because, you know, I want that connection. You know, I want to be able to get on with people and, you know, and just, but I just always find that it's like something, it just wants me to be isolated, you know, and it will just try everything. It just like everything just, things can't seem to build around me. And that's people, that's connection, that's relationships, that's friendships, that's certain paths that I know I should be going down to improve me, to help me, right? I just always find that if I'm not being attacked, and this is not me being the victim, you know, I don't want people to think that. This is generally how my life's been. I like to say I'm a survivor, really, rather than a victim, but I just find that opportunities and things, you know, it's like you're in the right direction, you're heading in the right path, it's like, boom, you've either been attacked or something's put a block in your path, you know. That has been, so like what I'm saying is a lot of us have been, the entities have been on our case since we could speak, you know. And you know, despite that, we just keep going and keep going. And it is lonely. It does get us down, you know. It can be very depressing. It's hard to like trust people and stuff like that. And I know you mentioned earlier about the self-sabotaging and stuff, you know. I still struggle a little bit with that every now and again, but I know a lot of it for me also. So yes, I do. I am capable of self-sabotaging, hold my hands up, but also as well in the mix, a lot of it is spiritual attacks. A lot of it is just energies messing with me again, because they'll try anything to try and slow me down, derail me, try and get me to take myself out. You know, that's been the theme. But just keep going, keep fighting, and just
comes down to knowing who you are on such a deep level that you know when the spiritual attacks are happening, you know when something jumps into someone and they're trying to provoke you, you know when someone might be acting inappropriately, and you have to build yourself up in a way that you take command over that situation. Sometimes you just let people speak. You say, okay, well, will that be all? Or somebody says something really rude and without starting conflict with them, you say, okay, well, I will allow you to say that, and I accept what you've said, and I have nothing to add or take away from that, and you move on. You try to get away from the situation because it's not wrong to notice that other people are acting the way that they're acting. Ultimately, this is why these beings work through other people, because they know that if you're wise, you can't control them, and you know that they know that if you're wise, you're going to leverage whether you should flip out on them or if you should just very calmly respond, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you to have that freak out moment, because it really is about isolating you. And in the end, you end up being partially isolated because you realize now that you have to take each person for whatever they can bring to the table. If a person can only bring an M&M to the family lunch, then that's all they can bring. Somebody else might bring a roast chicken, and somebody else might bring the whole table. But you just kind of have to take things as they are and take people as they are to try to preserve that sense of common union with them, even when you know they're unskillful or difficult or narcissistic or whatever the case is. I don't agree with a lot of the narcissism rhetoric that's going on, because I find that the way that those people communicate also kind of has an undertone of being taken over by these beings because they want to divide you from everybody, and everybody's a narcissist because they do this or that. But sometimes things come up in regular conversation too, where a person might just be unaware of themselves. They might not necessarily be narcissistic. And there's always a way, I guarantee you, there's always a way to hold your tongue for then and come back later and say, hey, something that you said last week or a couple of days ago, it made me think. So don't use the cult of psychotherapy in the language that they hand you either, because they want to F you up too. They want to divide you from everybody else so that you're the crazy one or somebody else is the crazy one. So don't use language like it triggered me and all this kinds of stuff like that. Be more succinct, be more secure and honest, and say, I was thinking. Say what you were actually doing. I was thinking about this thing that you said, and I'm trying to take responsibility for my reaction to it and why I didn't necessarily agree with it, or why I did, agree and disagree. Those two words mean like or dislike. So that's where we fall into a language trap too. It's not always about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about the purpose that the idea that we're trying to hold up has for us. What reward do we get for keeping that in place? So, and it's actually okay to consider other people's ideas and concepts and what they think about things too, because again, you're operating from a barrier to clarity around a subject. Now, your limbic system doesn't know that, right? That's why you have to take charge. The more you can strengthen your ability to communicate, and the more you can try to communicate the way that you feel and deal with other people's backlashes or the way that they respond to that, the stronger this thing actually gets, this prefrontal cortex. The more you learn, and you can actually learn how to talk to each person. So it's a never-ending uphill battle. It's kind of like Prometheus pushing the goddamn thing up the hill forever, And sometimes you have to stop and you have to hold that rock in place. And you're like, this boulder is getting way too heavy. But no matter what, you never give up on yourself. And you never give up on being okay with thinking about different things and being curious, because I always say curiosity is a form of love. So somebody said something really nasty to you. Okay, let it burn. Let it burn for 2, 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, 2 or 3 years, and come back and you say, hey, I'm still curious as to exactly what you meant, because oftentimes you'll find that that person really wasn't being self-aware. And people tend to, I don't believe that people say things that they don't mean, but they tend to just say things out of one emotional response or another. So you might come in and you might have an impression of somebody and they're a completely unreasonable, difficult, terrible person to be around based on your experience of them at that time. And then 2 or 3 years later, or 2 or 3 months later, you have a completely different experience of them. And you realize that bad people can be good and good people can be bad. But ultimately, it's your brain that's deciding, is making snap decisions and judgments on people. So when it comes to boxing someone into the category of a narcissist or a psycho or whatever, you have to be really, really, really careful. I was going to say really was just grace. Like the more you give other people grace and you give yourself grace, make sure you put your heart first. Because when people get to know you, what is inside of your heart, then you've done enough. When somebody starts flipping out and tripping out and they're not worthy of your presence, then you will know to remove yourself from that situation. I'm talking in a general sense for the people that are listening to us that need to hear this wisdom. They need to hear, somebody might be going through a tough family challenge or something, and they need to hear what we're saying. So it's kind of what that really boils down to. I think that one of the biggest issues that we are going to face going forward is everybody clambering and trying to grasp and hold on to what they have, because people are going to feel like everything's just slipping away from them. The entire life that they know is slipping away from them, especially with all the digital crap that they're going to put in place, because they just don't want us talking. If you see how people in China are, as long as one of these things, a cell phone, is in the room, a lot of people will be quiet. They will not talk to each other. They will not say anything, because they know that that thing could be listening to anything they're saying at any given time, right? And that's the point that they're trying to take us to, because we're just like batteries for them. We just fuel their machines. We don't mean anything to these beings. And the only way that they achieve that enslavement over us, by turning us into meaningless energy factories, is if we make that agreement to participate in that. If we stop taking each other seriously, we're screwed. That's exactly, it's just the same repetitive message, this whole thing. But that's the thing that makes us screwed and hopeless. It's commonly said on the internet that every single individual is just saying, I'm powerless to change it. When in reality, if every individual person was working on themselves and they said to their neighbor or their best friend, hey, let's do one small thing every day that is going to offset this system, we would win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Literal tug of war. One of the things that I wanted to say is that I've realized that the attacks and stuff against me, against my channels and all that, started ramping up when I started talking about the MK Ultra thing. It seems to be there's certain people that they don't like. And now it's created this really weird culture of it being trendy to claim to be a MK Ultra victim. And I think that people need to be very aware of that as well. Because I have had clients in the past that didn't realize that something had happened to them, that they were trafficked or that they were victims of this type of mind control or were in the gate program or anything like that, until we started unpacking emotional issues about something else. And emotions can kind of just be like a sack of potatoes. You know, you open that sack of potatoes and you have a whole bunch of good usable potatoes, but then you get to the middle and there was moisture and it ruined all the rest, you know? And you don't realize that stuff is there. So that's another reason why self-awareness is under attack and our spiritual fortitude is under attack, because if we're thinking about everything that happened, then we know what to look for. And you always hear this stupid word get thrown around, discernment, and nobody really knows what that is. Discernment is just common sense, plain old-fashioned common sense.
Really? Yeah.
But I grew up hearing that common sense wasn't common, and I used to wonder why they would say that. And then I became an adult and I understood why they said that, because you enter most rooms and common sense is not very popular in that room. So how do we fix that? We listen and like and subscribe to channels like Reach for Truth and Boundless Authenticity. And those things help us to spread good information. There's a moratorium on empowerment. And you look at podcasts that have like 4 million views and stuff like that, and you'll notice that the videos where either the host or the guest is talking about how to do something to empower yourself in a particular way, you'll notice like they'll have 4 million subscribers, but yet 22,000 likes on that video. That math doesn't add up. You know, they'll have very few comments on it. It's because anything that's inherently empowering, it could be a sermon, it could be a prayer video, it could be a new age spiritual video with somebody telling you how to, you know, balance your energy, how to think positively. It could be anything like that. And you notice that if it's telling you how to do it, it doesn't matter how many subscribers that channel has. It's not going to have very many likes. It's not going to have very many comments or anything like that. So you have to support content that's like that, because you have to break the algorithm. You have to completely confuse the algorithm, because that's what this AI thing is leading to. I don't care what anybody says. The Bible people are right, because AI is demonic and it's coming from these same entities that are bringing forth this technology and this way of being. It has no soul. It has no way of discerning anything. It has no heart. It has no emotion. But the people who program it, they use the dark psychology to program it. Everything that AI says is inherently emotional in its structure, its language structure. And when it says things like, it's not this, it's that, that's a technique in NLP called the redefine. So linguistically, this is where I go back to the programming, where I said programming is about language. When you hear that, it's trying to tell you where your thought process should stop and redirect it to what you should be thinking. Okay, that's simply how that's used. This podcast is going to get slapped for me saying that, but that's what they're doing. These people, they understand all this stuff. These are the people who worship like sacred symbols and figures and shapes and mathematics and all this stuff. I won't use the F word, but that's what these people worship. They don't even know on a grand scale who they're talking to. You have all these fuddy-duddies like Billy Corgan and stuff coming out and pretending to talk about the satanic worship and stuff. Like, he's the one that's deep in it. He's the one that's deep in it. Stop listening to people who've been put up on a platform. Stop doing that. Support like anything that's really good and empowering. Like, share, and subscribe to that channel. Share with all your friends and get that stuff out there. Because you will find that somebody can just go outside and take a picture of the sky at night and they'll get 8 bajillion likes and subscribers. Right? And a lot of that's fake. A lot of that is fake. I didn't want to talk about what goes on in the music industry and stuff like that in this episode, because I've talked about that on other podcasts. And the only stuff that I haven't had the chance to say on that yet is that besides all of the contract stuff that goes on, and besides all of the managers, male or female or otherwise, that are trying to sleep with you because they get, if they can take your image and sell it, they get lots of money off of you. You get locked into a lot of trouble financially, and you're in debt to record labels and investors and stuff for the rest of your life. Besides that, and me not wanting to consent to that, the only reason I didn't succeed in music the way I set out to wasn't for a lack of talent. Everybody would be like, yeah, you're really talented. But if you really want to succeed and you want to work in LA, you got to live in LA. You want to succeed in country music, you got to live in Nashville. So if you're not a citizen of the United States, you can't really make a lot of money doing it. That's the only barrier. So I would never say all the other stuff I've said that is in conspiracy land, which is conspiracy facts. It's just not to discourage anybody, but it's to think critically about what you really want to do. That other stuff is not worth it, you know? So I didn't want to talk about that because that's a path that leads to nowhere. You know, if you don't believe that that stuff is going on, then I will very succinctly say Diddy really did what he did. So don't even worry about it. Like, that is just a fact. And it's all of them. It's all of them. There's nobody that's in front of your face that they're basically begging you and pouring millions of dollars into being in front of your face at all times. It's all of them. So you got to do for you. In this life, you got to do for you, and you got to take control of what you consume and what you create, because everybody's just trying to stop you from being authentic.
Well, it'll just keep trying, you know. It's a spiritual war, isn't it? It's real. It's really, really real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's 4:44 my time. I think we had some interruptions, and the universe is saying, you shut the fuck up now. So that's kind of...
Yeah, my apologies if I seem very flat. I feel like I'm quite flat and lifeless. I quite like I've got brain fog, and yeah, I think it's because we had issues, didn't we, at the beginning? So that's obviously took off. So I can't even find the words. Really, I'm struggling with brain fog. I'm in a lot of pain as well, so that don't help. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, hopefully we'll do another video again, and I'm feeling a bit more life in me or something.
Zoe, I know how you are. I know your situation. I know what the contents of your heart really are. And so thanks for having me on here. If anybody wants to contact me, they can just email me at selfsabatageinfo@proton.me. You can listen to the Boundless Authenticity podcast on Podbean, boundlessauthenticity.podbean.com, and you can see all of the links to YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Everything is right at the top of the page. And on Spreaker, Spotify, it's a little bit more exclusive. You can hear why you self-sabotage and how to heal from it. It's an interactive type podcast, so there is like questions and stuff you can ponder for yourself to help you like regulate your nervous system and try to get to the root of some of the beliefs that you have that are holding you back in life. And yeah, that's it. That's all.
Sorry, guys. I'm not usually like this. I just Jay understands going through different things, as I know you are and stuff, and just how it goes sometimes. But we'll do a video again in the future. I mean, I've been on your channel a few times now, haven't I? I think 3 times, maybe. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll definitely do another video in the future. Find some good topics to talk about, and hopefully, yeah, we're in a better place and a bit more, I don't know, more energy or something. I don't know. But I really enjoyed this video. I think a lot of people are going to relate. Yeah, I think it's important. And we're all going through it. And yeah, I think this is quite raw, really. That's what I kind of feel quite raw and open, and you know, some of the things we've spoken about and shared with your spiritual attacks and things I go through. So I know a lot of people will resonate. And it's just, again, it's just how we are. We're not fake people. We're not going to sit there and put on masks and be like, oh, it's all fucking all right. You know, I'm not like that. What you see is what you get. I'm either really happy and because I am, or I'm just like this. I'm just a bit flat today. But that's how I am. And I just think, you know, just real. We just got to be real with ourselves, you know. That's why I love the name of your podcast, Boundless Authenticity. Exactly. That's it. Just keep doing you, keep healing, always keep being authentic. Again, we're in a spiritual war, you know, many of you know this, I've said it a lot, and we will be tested, we will be provoked, we will have a lot of snakes and beings and people, those that we thought we could trust, you know, try and test us, and it's all part of the game. As long as you just keep being real, being your authentic self, regardless what anyone around you thinks and feels and believes about you, just keep being you and screw them. Because people are always going to judge you. They're always going to think, oh, you're this, you're that, you're not to be trusted, you're compromised. And yes, I'm talking from personal experience. Yeah, I've had it all. A lot of the time, people are just projecting as well. They project, and for a number of reasons. And maybe it's because of trauma, because of hurt, because they have an agenda. There's many reasons why people project onto others. Yeah, we just got to just ignore them, you know, again, just continue being you, and just, block these people, you know, walk away, be the bigger person, don't let them trigger you. Because a lot of the time they want that reaction, right? See, I told you she's crazy. See, I told you she's not to be trusted. And the reason why, you know, I react to people like me is because we are being provoked, you know, they're doing it deliberately. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. I'm sure a lot of you can relate and understand, but yeah, just keep being you, being true to you, and that's all you can do, really. And I just find as well, the more you step into your power and authenticity, the more that people, energies just come out of the woodworks, isn't it? Again, because they don't want this world to be an honest, authentic world. They want everyone to be. They want us to fight with ourselves and others. They want us to separate ourselves from others. They want us disconnected from ourselves, you know, and others. That's what they want. So, there's many energies in the shadows, people being used by these entities and energies. And of course, you know, many people that just don't have good intentions sometimes. That's all I need to say in this video. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this, leave a nice comment if you want. And I'll speak to you all soon in a new upload.